As we move forward through recovering from trauma or any sort of condition that has been impacting our life, we may feel that it is kind of unsafe to feel safe in peacetime. When we start to feel peace within ourselves, and we might feel that we're missing out on some familiar behaviors. And sometimes we feel like we're missing the wall. So this is an EFT tapping for this. So as EFT tapping is a great stress reduction tool, we'll use EFT tapping on missing the wall. So taking full responsibility for your own well-being and repeating after me. Let's go with that flow and let's begin to tap. Even though I'm recovering from trauma and a life of pain, a life where I had to fight to maintain my sense of self from people who were very mean and gave me adverse experiences. And I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. Even though, as I move through this trauma and things begin to settle, my nervous system starts to calm, there might be still parts of myself that might be missing the wall of all that I was familiar with and all that I'm moving away from. And I'm open to loving and accepting myself, even though there's patterns of behavior and still triggers that I myself may want to pull in order to feel the effects of that what was familiar of growing up in a childhood war zone. And I'm open to loving and accepting myself. This recovering, this moving through this trauma, this overcoming, this reduction and regulation, this recovery of self. There's a lot that I had to go through, a lot that I had to experience. And I may have had to do that alone, or with support of people who might not have understood, but did stand by me as I went through some stuff that people shouldn't have to experience, some love that wasn't loving, some care that wasn't caregiving. And I had some wounds from this. I had some traumas. I had some pain that just went unacknowledged and misunderstood within myself and from others. And I did what was familiar because I looked at my external environment as a kid growing up and saw some behaviors I thought were normal, some justifications that weren't justified, and some actions that were done against me that caused me a lot of pain. And I grew up with this pain, thinking it was my fault and my responsibility to carry all of these judgments, all these limitations that I had, all these trauma binds, all these friendships and relationships may have been a reflection of the war zone that I grew up in, that shot me down, that cut me deep, and really left me shell-shocked and bereft of my senses, trying to find meaning in people who were just mean to me, finding love in all the wrong places. And you'd like to place that wrong upon my shoulders. And I've carried a lot through life, a lot of burdens, definitely a lot of emotional baggage. But there was always a part of me that somehow knew, despite the environment that I grew up in, that some wrongs were not right. No matter how I tried to justify this, it just didn't sit well. I did not feel well within myself, carrying the burdens of others. And so I took that responsibility, even though it was not mine to carry, to get in touch with that part of myself that was calling out for love, that was calling out for the right kind of love. There was nothing about it that I had to prove, that I had to be better at, that I wasn't seen as a failure, that if I didn't get it right first time, there was punishment. Whatever it was, that just wasn't love. But I can justify love for myself by listening to that right feeling within myself that was calling out that this isn't right. And no form of adapting could form myself into a maladaptive environment, misshapen and misunderstood by people who never really understood themselves and sought to work that out upon myself. And boy, did they work out some problems upon me, which created more problems. And I had to battle. I had to struggle to survive. And I started to move through this by creating the awareness of my body, what it was trying to tell me when I might have been refusing to listen, as the avoidance of a problem is the allowance of the problem to rule my life. So I started to face some problems that were causing me big problems, some patterns of behavior that weren't too healthy for myself or for the life that I wanted to live. And that meant some departures from the battlefield. But it's very hard to move on when the war is carrying on inside my mind. When my mind is hypervigilant, my nervous system hyper-aroused, and I'm still waiting for that next fight, ready to protect myself against perceived harm, which may see me myself isolate myself from more experiences in life. In an effort to protect myself, a siege mentality. And I've been protecting myself my whole life. I've been armored up by all these people hovering above me, ready to shoot me down. But I'm open to freeing myself from these perceptions that people had about me. And there's these triggers. As I move through them into more peaceful times that still feel like triggers, I'm still at the guard, ready to react based upon old patterns of behavior of what I grew up in and what was familiar. And I might want to return sometimes to familiar environments, to people that were familiar to what I grew up in. which might mean I'm seeking different harm in the same package. It's still going to hurt me, but it is familiar, and I know how to protect myself against that familiar. I still end up with those wounds. I might look to substances that get me that rush, that adrenaline. And when the explosions start to happen and chaos ensues, because it might have meant if I can resolve that, I might have gotten some love, which meant I had to go through a lot of hell to get a form of peace that just wasn't healthy. I'm missing the wall. I'm missing my role and duty of who I was to service others, there to protect people who was actually their duty to protect me. And I've become a good soldier. In many ways, I've just been soldiering on through life, from one battle to another. When I start to get that peace, and when I start to get that calm, that might be really scary, because that's unfamiliar, but it might be healthy, because all I've known is familiar, which is the unhealthy behavior of putting out fires from people that like to burn me. In this unfamiliar peace, in this settling and quiet, when I'm alone with my thoughts, my healing might start to begin. I'm moving through this trauma, and I'm recovering myself in this process. And there might be some unfortunate truths that bring up some unsettling thoughts and some unsettling emotions. When I realize it might have been all propaganda, the love that I was led to believe, the people that I thought that cared for me, it was all a lie. I was led to believe something, that it was my role and responsibility to be the caretaker for caretakers. And that is just not me. I am worthy of deserving of love, without rules and regulations, without terms and conditions, but rather compassionate acceptance as I move into this peace. And it might be unsettling at times, but it's definitely better than walking back into the war zone and fulfilling my duty that it was really never mine to serve. I'm healing. I'm finding my peace time. I'm calming my nervous system. It's been on high alert for so long. I'm getting the rest when I need it. It's exhausting, being constantly on guard. I give my thoughts the time and attention to put them at ease and to move into rest and move into calm and start to de-stress some very distressing experiences. I'm allowing my body to feel like it's safe. And it might be scared to feel on this safety. It might have never known this safety before. To never know that there's never going to be another fight. To disarm and dysregulate. To put down my shields. To not be so tough all the time. And allow some vulnerability in. To allow some pain out. I've been carrying so much. I'm allowing this pain to flow. I'm allowing these perceptions to flow. I'm allowing these realizations to flow. And every time they feel stuck, I'm just tapping them away. Releasing that stress. Releasing those realizations. They're not mine to carry. And as I find my peace time, I find myself. And I move into my new sense of self. And a new life. And experiences that I want to bring in. That are for the betterment of myself. And the future that I do fear may start to become possibilities. As I may have been fearing some good stuff. And some possibilities that were for me. As I may have lived a life that was never for me. I'm giving myself some hope. I'm giving myself some love. I'm giving myself some compassion. I'm giving myself some ease. I'm allowing myself to go with the flow. I'm no longer missing the wall. I'm welcoming in some peace of who I want to be, who I choose to be, and that which I move away from in mind, body, and spirit. And just taking a full breath in and out. And just checking in with yourself, seeing how you feel as we let go of the old weapons of the past that kept us safe, even perceptions of ourselves, our emotions, how we feel we actually thought we should have been in some situations. We move into who we are as we go through a process of change, and who we change to be will hopefully not be the same as what we were, because that would not imply that we're changing. So as we move through things, we move through letting go of what was familiar and move into the unfamiliar. And sometimes the unfamiliar might be actually better for us than what we were having to basically survive through, moving into a bit of thriving. So I'm Dion from Eflowtion Support Services. I offer EFT Tapping one-on-one online. So check out Eflowtion Support Services. We now have introductory offers, so you can always try it out at half price for the first 2 sessions. And if you really like it and you really like to uncover and release and reduce and regulate your emotions, then definitely book in for more sessions after that. We have packages as well. So I'm Dion from Eflowtion Support Services, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.